that you made, I'll build my church. But it won't be a building like this of Caesar's or Pan or Baal. It will be a spiritual church made of spiritual rock, and I'll be the head. I'll be the foundation. But I'll build my church upon that confession, and the gates of hell won't be able to stop that church or prevent it from moving forward. So he gave them a lesson on the church, 13 through 20. And then in verse 21, after he gives them that lesson, it's where he says in verse 21, Matthew 16, from that time forth, Jesus began to show his disciples how he must go to Jerusalem, suffer many things of the elders and the priests, scribes, he'll be killed. Church folks is going to kill him. They going to crucify him. But he's going to rise the third day. But Peter, look what Peter did. Peter got a hold to him and rebuked him and said, oh no, you ain't going to have to die. No, be it far from you. It's amazing, but now I see why Jesus said it this way. Verse 23, Peter just spoke what God says. Now Jesus is calling Peter Satan in verse 23. Jesus turned and said to Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savest not the things that be of God, but the things that be of what? Men. That gets my attention right there. That flesh, man, can mislead you. We got to be in the spirit. What happened here? I read to you that same temptation where Jesus says, you don't have to die. Satan said to Jesus in that wilderness, you don't have to die. Look out there, I'll give it to you. You just bow down and worship me. And see, Peter is saying, you don't have to die. In fact, he's saying what Satan wanted him to say instead of what God wanted him to say. Right. You and I have got to be careful and try the Spirit and think before we speak. I'm talking to myself. Let's make sure it's from God and not from a fleshly idea or wrong attitude. Let's make sure it's of God. But Jesus rebuked Peter and called him Satan, told him to get behind him. That's that same spirit that came in that wilderness and said, you won't have to die. The next step up, chapter 17, Transfiguration, verse 1 through 13. 6 days after this, 6 days after it, Jesus was transformed before them. But look at verse 28 before I look at that. Let's look 6 days forward. Verse 28 of that chapter 16. Jesus says, verily I say unto you, there are some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in what? His kingdom. When is he going to do that? All right. He said, you're not going to die. Some of you standing here. You know how many was standing there? A lot of them, but how many saw it? 3. 6 days, he takes Peter, James, and John, John's brother, brings them into the high mountain apart from everything else. He's transfigured before them. His kingdom takes over. His face shined as the sun, raiment white as light. And there appeared unto him who? Moses and Elias talking with him. And look what Peter did. Peter bursted out and said just what we talked about in the first 13 of chapter 16, is that all those temples and gods was made of them false gods right there in Caesarea Philippi. Peter says, we're going to build some temples, one for Moses, one for Elijah, and one for you. And Jesus says, no. God says, this is my beloved Son, you hear it. And then after that was said, they saw nobody but Jesus. Jesus was transformed before them. But yet Peter wanted to make it where it would be a place of not moving forward. He wanted to build something for them to just look at and talk about what happened yesterday. We serve the God that's the I am, means the God of each moment of every day. We are to keep moving. And that's what I want to do. That's what I want all of us to do. Is don't just get saved and satisfied. Don't park on the pew. Let's do like they did on the day of Pentecost. Let's get up and go. Tell people about Christ. Let's do like they did in that field with those shepherds. When they heard the word of God, they got up and went. They saw it and they went and told everybody. So they told everybody around about it. And my message today, as I bring it out the best I know how, is that God is showing us to keep taking steps up. Keep growing. Don't stop. But don't get your eyes on worldly things or the easy way out. Jesus says, Peter, you're saying things that's of man. You're saying things that's of the devil. I've got to die. My blood's got to be shed or you won't be able to go to heaven. And Jesus went on and said, and if you don't take up your cross and follow me, you won't make it. My friend, they knew what the cross was about. They saw it regularly. The cross is the dawn. And you know what's wrong with me? It's too much Reggie. John the Baptist says, I got to decrease so he can increase. Reggie needs to die to self so there can be more Jesus. I love you. But let's keep moving. Keep advancing. And every one of you is important. Every one of you's got something to do. And if you don't do it, it won't be done. You will see somebody that I won't never see. And you could just be in a light or joy. They'll see the difference. Somebody wrote a song. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. You can work with somebody and you can tell if they're a Christian or not. So in your work and your going, let your light shine. Thank you.